Today, I'm answering questions that have come in from viewers asking about how they can manage menopause symptoms without resorting to medication. So, you may have had some or all of these same questions. So, stick around. This is the Let's Talk Toxin Show, and I'm Dr. Gayla Gorman, a licensed acupuncturist, naturopath, and author of What's Your Kryptonite? I answer questions and share insights to help reverse the effects of chronic toxic stress. So let's get started. The first question is, what specific diet and lifestyle changes can I implement to naturally reduce the frequency and intensity of my hot flashes during menopause? Any sort of heat reaction like a hot flash, you can think of that as your immune system getting fired up. So that tends to happen when we have some stressor that our body has to deal with. And so normally menopause and the hormonal changes is adding stress. And so the way we offset that is to reduce the other stressors that our body has to deal with. So we're going to want to clean things up as much as possible and then practice stress relief techniques. So we do that in the MOLT method program. My MOLT method, MOLT is an acronym: M for mindset, O for order, L for lifestyle, T for toxins. So we're going to use all the strategies. We're going to pick something out of our toolbox based on what we're dealing with, and we're going to relieve as much of that stress as we can so that when we finally get into bed, we're going to find that our body has the resources it needs to be able to rest and relax and drift into sleep without finding that these toxic disturbances actually create this reaction in our body. Can you recommend any effective relaxation techniques or natural remedies to manage my irritability and mood swings associated with menopause? I don't want to sound like a broken record, but you need to reduce the stress so that your body is able to manage the additional stress caused by menopause. And so effective relaxation techniques, any form of mindfulness really, but yoga ticks so many boxes. If you'll practice yoga almost daily, even just a half an hour, do a few asanas and use relaxation technique. Again, in my MOLT method program, one of the resources is the relaxation exercise, the yoga nidra exercise that I use at the end of my mindful movement class that I created. So that will go a long way to help you really transition into some deep relaxation that again is going to just make you feel all zen. And when we feel zen, it's hard to aggravate us, It's hard to have that trigger temper. That is what basically creates these mood swings and angry responses. How can I adjust my diet or incorporate specific vitamins and minerals to help balance my hormones and alleviate mood swings during menopause? So the most important thing you can do is lean into time-restricted eating, particularly early time-restricted eating. You want to stop eating by 6 o'clock, really earlier on the days that you can. But if you will give your body a more extended period of time to rest and digest, you'll be surprised at how many things will improve just from that. But then we also want to make sure that we're getting enough protein. It is very challenging to get 20 to 30 grams of protein in at least 2 meals a day, which will add up to 50 plus grams of protein in a day. It's very challenging to get that much protein if you're not eating meat. If you choose not to eat meat and to adopt a plant-based diet, just know that you are going to need to make sure that you get enough protein. And I don't recommend protein powders. Our body's not designed to digest something that's already essentially been pulverized. So that's just my 2 cents on that. I'm not known for giving you popular answers, just the answers that you need to hear. So you're going to need to get enough protein, and most likely you are going to find that you're magnesium deficient. And the best form of magnesium is ionic magnesium. The best way to get magnesium is to soak with high quality water, filtered water, and with high quality Epsom salts. It will then get absorbed in through your skin in the exact quantity that you need. But if that's a little challenging, which it is for many of us, then you may need to take extra magnesium, particularly in ionic form, because it's easier for your body to assimilate. So if you're consuming enough protein and you are making sure that your minerals aren't depleted, particularly magnesium, then you also want to lean into soy. And I wouldn't go overboard here. Honestly, I much prefer the amino acids that are available in meat. But soybeans can be really great. Like, it's a great snack as like your last meal if you just feel like you need a little something, instead of turning to something like popcorn or something like that that really irritates your digestive tract. Just make some edamame. Get some organic frozen edamame. I can get that at Whole Foods and make like half a bag in my little oven, and it's super simple and just makes a really tasty snack, and it helps to promote natural estrogen production, which is going to help you with a lot of these symptoms of menopause. Much better to get natural hormonal boost rather than turning to some sort of synthetic hormones, bioidentical or otherwise. We can never balance our hormones in the exact way that our body would do that naturally. What type of gentle exercises and dietary adjustments can I make to manage weight gain often associated with menopause without making other symptoms worse? So we're back to yoga. As I mentioned just a few moments ago, yoga ticks so many boxes. I always recommend yoga and or walking. I love to walk outside. If you'll walk outside, especially if you have any place that you can kind of take in nature, trees, rose bushes, listen to the birds, maybe walk near ponds, anything that you can do where you can kind of take in this things that soothe your senses. But walking is extremely beneficial. Do not minimize the positive impacts there. And then, as we mentioned previously, yoga is great for exercise, great for mindfulness, great for relaxation. It basically will cover you from every angle. When I broke and dislocated my right elbow many years ago now, when I got the cast off and went to physical therapy, I went through a few sessions of physical therapy, and the pain that I endured in physical therapy was beyond anything I could describe. I mean, at least when I broke my arm, I was kind of in shock and I didn't really feel it. But I can assure you, I felt everything in physical therapy, and it was painful. But once I recognized how much pain it was going to take for me to get my range of motion back, which I had been warned that I would most likely never get my full range of motion back with the kind of injury that I had, which was not acceptable, I was determined that I was willing to do whatever it took to have a different result. And so after a few physical therapy sessions, I realized that the exercises they were asking me to do were things I did regularly in yoga class. So I went back to yoga class, and it was ugly for quite a while I basically pushed myself to increase my range of motion. But I have 100% range of motion, full recovery. And so when I tell you that yoga really ticks a lot of boxes, I'm not kidding. One of the other questions there was dietary adjustments. And I kind of touched on this as well. The dietary adjustments that I recommend are early time restricted eating, intermittent fasting, but it's a kind of next level intermittent fasting. You're typically going to want to eat 2 meals most days, preferably in like a 6 hour eating window that closes no later than 6 p.m. That's kind of the basic parameters. And this isn't about calorie restriction, because I still want you to get your 1,500-ish to 2,000-ish calories a day, but I want you to get those calories in those 2 meals, and I want those meals to be really high quality, nutrient dense meals. So if you can lean into that most days, splurge once or twice a week. Go out to dinner and enjoy yourself. But generally speaking, you need to practice early time restricted eating on a regular basis and make sure that you're getting nutrient dense real food, and that you are focused on protein first in both of those meals. Which key nutrients should I focus on to address the fatigue I'm experiencing during menopause? And are there any specific exercises or relaxation techniques that can help? Boy, a lot of you had similar sort of questions, right? So I'm just answering them with the same response in a little bit of a nuanced way. So the key nutrients are minerals, certainly, and protein, the neurotransmitters and amino acids that you're going to get out of protein. And the unspoken thing here when we're talking about fatigue is potentially having fatigue be caused by anemia. And so anemia is a deficiency in your red blood cells, and that tends to be caused by poor digestion, kind of as the starting point. And if you've been under stress chronically, then your stomach acid tends to be affected, and you may find that even if you're eating enough protein, that you're not able to assimilate it. Your body's not breaking that protein down. And so that's going to take us all the way back to practicing stress relieving techniques and using every tool in your toolbox that you'll get from the MOLT method program. But specifically, you want to practice mindfulness, and also if you suspect that you may have an issue, if you know that your diet's really good but you're still having some of these issues, then make sure you get a blood test and rule out anemia, which means that not only do you need to get a comprehensive blood panel, but you need to also get your vitamin B12, your vitamin D, and your ferritin levels checked. What natural methods or lifestyle changes can I adopt to improve my sleep quality and manage insomnia during menopause? So, to improve sleep quality, I do a few things. First, if you can't get outside easily and walk in the morning light to kind of reset your circadian rhythms, then you may want to use red light therapy, particularly in the morning. It's best. You don't want to use that at night. Red light therapy is essentially mimicking the sunlight, so using that at night is going to sabotage your efforts. But you can use red light therapy in the morning to help to sort of set your circadian rhythms. And then you want to make sure in the evening that you're eliminating the blue screens and the technology in the bedroom. If you just have to read on a device, you want to make sure that you are using blue blocker glasses, particularly the ones with the sunset lenses. And that's what I do, because I do tend to read on my device at night, and so I turn it on airplane mode so that it's not pinging me with all that EMF, and I use my sunset lens blue blockers, and it's really fascinating. Like within a few minutes of putting those blue blockers on, I start yawning, and I can feel the effects of that orange tint lens on my, basically they affect your pineal gland and trigger your body's rest and relaxation response. And the other thing too is you want to make sure that your bedroom is cool. Typically you want the bedroom to be between 65 and 68 degrees. In the last several places we've lived, I've had air conditioning unit that is specifically designed to cool the bedroom, so I can shut the door on the bedroom and cool the bedroom to whatever temperature I need it to be and don't have to cool the rest of the house. That is so nice. So you might want to look into something like that if this is something that you struggle with. You will be surprised if you're not able to cool the bedroom currently to 68 or below, and then you figure out how to do that. You will be surprised how much better you sleep. Are there any natural supplements or lifestyle changes that can help me manage low libido and vaginal dryness without resorting to medication? So I will say that this is something that women definitely struggle with as they move into menopause. And it really is a combination of factors. The additional dryness often is a sign that you're borderline anemic, which means that you need to really increase your nutrient density. I mentioned eating soybeans more, and so you might try, incorporating edamame or some other soy-rich foods that will help with estrogen production. In the short term, I don't recommend anything long term, but in the short term, you can use some topical, all-natural creams that will help. And then just know that as you age, that skin tends to get thinner and more fragile. And so you couple the thinner, more fragile skin with the dryness, and discomfort is the result. And so you're going to need more lubricant, and you want to make sure that the lubricant is all natural and isn't further creating irritation and adding toxicity. So if you poke around and really make sure you look at the labels and the ingredients and look for things that are all natural, either for the cream or the lubricant, I will say that you should not use anything daily long term, including the cream. If you use the cream for a few weeks or a month or so and you have some improvement, then cycle off of it. Go off of it, see how you feel, see how long it takes for the symptoms to kind of return. Then you may need to use it for 3 or 4 weeks again, but cycle it and force your body to produce it on its own. The longer you use something, the lazier your system gets, and then that just makes matters worse in the long term. As far as libido goes, getting better sleep is going to help with your energy levels, and that's going to improve libido across the board. But exercise also makes a big difference, and there is nothing like the high coming out of a really wonderful yoga class. So if you haven't tried yoga before, I highly recommend it. And sometimes you might not resonate with one person's class and you need to try several before you find the instructor that you really jam with. But yoga is just tremendously beneficial and really will improve a lot of these symptoms of menopause. What dietary adjustments or natural remedies can I consider to help clear the brain fog and improve cognitive function during menopause? So one of the things that is missed here is that serotonin is one of the big contributing factors with brain fog, lack of serotonin. And serotonin is produced in the brain, but guess what? It starts in the gut brain, not the head brain. And so if you are struggling with digestive issues, then your serotonin production may be low. And if your serotonin production is low, then that's where you're going to need to focus. And so if digestive issues are your problem, then probably the best place to start, assuming that you're not already suppressing symptoms with some sort of acid reflux medication or digestive enzymes or, something else that may be further contributing to the problem because maybe you've been taking things too long or allowing toxicity to build up because you've been whack-a-moling symptoms. Assuming you're not doing that, then you want to avoid the big five, and that is dairy, wheat, gluten, yeast, sugar, and alcohol. Avoid the big five for at least a month, if not 2 or 3, and lean into intermittent fasting again, lean into time restricted eating, and just watch the healing happen. It really is fascinating, and a lot of these cognitive issues will clear up whenever your gut health improves and all those neurotransmitters and amino acids are being created as they should be. Can you suggest any specific exercises, dietary changes, or natural remedies that are effective in reducing joint pain associated with menopause? So I just, in the last response, mentioned how important it is to avoid the big five. If you're having joint pain, this is your answer. Dairy, wheat or gluten, yeast, sugar, and alcohol. And avoid the big five. If you were working directly with me, I would probably not have to make you eliminate all 5 of those. But if you're not working directly with me and we can't do any more, pinpointed diagnostics, then avoiding the big five, leaning into early time restricted eating, and give your body the time to rest and digest and work through the inflammation, and you will find that your joint pain is diminished significantly. I will tell you that I don't eat much dairy, but I do like to dip my French fries in ranch dressing from time to time. It's a treat that I don't indulge in very often, but when I haven't had dairy at all, and then I introduce even a small amount of dairy, I will immediately feel it in my joints from the inflammation. And so if that tells you anything, one of the benefits of really cleaning up your diet is that then when you introduce something that really is irritating you, you will know it really quickly. How does stress affect menopause symptoms, and can you provide guidance on stress management techniques that could help alleviate these symptoms? So stress is at the root of 90% of disease. That's the research says stress is the cause of 90% of disease. And I actually think that statistic is low because they don't factor in all the ways stress shows up in our world. So stress is the underlying cause that when the stress of menopause adds to the situation, creates a condition that your body can't manage easily. So the people who have a really rough ride through menopause are the ones that went into menopause on adrenal fatigue. With adrenal fatigue that had essentially gone unmanaged, maybe even undiagnosed, but for sure unmanaged. And when the stress of menopause added to the situation, their body no longer could handle things. Normally what happens is the adrenals kind of offset the additional stress, but when your adrenals are already on fumes, they've got nothing to donate, and there's nowhere to go. The wheels just start falling off. I hear it over and over and over again from women, like, I was doing okay until menopause. And then when the symptoms of menopause started showing up, then just my health has deteriorated from there. And so the answer is not to continue whack-a-moling symptoms with hormone replacement therapy or anything else. The answer is to reverse the chronic toxic stress. And that's going to require that we figure out exactly what has built up in your body and then design a protocol that supports your body to detox and gives you the tools that you need to significantly reduce the load of toxicity that you're adding on a daily basis. We can never eliminate the toxicity that our body has to deal with. We live in a very toxic world. But what we can do is learn to recognize the ways that we're adding toxicity that our body is just really struggling to manage. And that's it. That was the last question. This was the Let's Talk Toxin show. If your question wasn't answered, comment below or visit drgala.com/links. Again, that's drgala.com/links. Thanks for tuning in.